Hi, this is Dr. Frederick, and this is a lecture on APA style. I'm going to post this on YouTube just so we can get past some video problems of posting it on the course. Now, I just want to show you that APA style is a certain style. So I just and I usually show you some problems in APA style by looking at an APA published paper. Now I see that that APA is actually doing things a little bit differently when I look at a brand new paper. So here's a paper that just came out a couple months ago by a colleague of mine and myself. And so here we're just looking here at how a citation is done. But let's just look at the parts of a paper. So this would be the cover sheet. This is the title, our association. The second page of any paper you send in is going to be the abstract. Then it's going to be followed by the text, and then the references start on their own page. And so I'm going to come back and look at this in a minute, but let's just set up our own papers. You know, just some basic ideas. We want to get our headers right. We want to have a title page. We want to get our page numbers right. We want to get our paragraphs right, and then we want to get our references correct. So let's start by just making our header. We're going to insert a page number. Now, let me just say that there are many ways to do this. I'm just going to show you the ways that I do it. And so we're going to start out with running head, and that's how you do it. It's not running head with a capital H, and it's not it's not running head. No, it's like this. Now, how do I know it's like that? Because I looked in my manual, and just whatever the manual says is correct. We don't have to understand the logic of it. I think the whole idea of having this running header up here is kind of dumb. And in the future, I think that we'll just have the header up there without this running head. What else would it be, right? I mean, why do we have to identify the part of the paper here? But we're not going to put assignment 1, or we're not going to put paper 1. We're going to say what the paper is about. So it might be ethics revision, or revision of the ethics code. It's not something terribly long. I think it's less than 50 characters. So we're going to then just space over, and it'll go over towards the left. Justification. If you go too far, just backspace. Now we're going to grab all this, and we're going to justify it. Now we're going to undo this because of the complicated way to know how to do it. But basically, you should have a header now with a page number, and then let's get the idea of separate pages. Many students seem to just type so far, and then they might hit enter, or they might hit enter so far and they start the next page. You should learn how to make a hard page. I'm going to make a hard page in Microsoft Word by hitting Control and Enter at the same time. And now I'm on page 2. Now I can go back in page 1 and work around here. It isn't going to affect page 2 at all, right? I can do anything here, and it just says, okay, we're going to start page 2 here. And when I click there, it hasn't, the spaces that I entered here haven't carried down through the page. That's called a hard page. Now on your, and we'll see the header carries over, okay? And on your title page, you're just going to put centering, put my paper, and then your name. Okay, and if you want to put your class or course, that's fine. That's plenty for the first page. And then we see in the second page, now we have a header that's incorrect. The header on page 2 and following is not the same as header on page 1 and following. And the real question is, how can you change this? It's so convoluted. And all we're really going to do here is just click it, and we'll see that we have a choice to make a different first page. Now when we say different first page, what happens is our first page header disappears. We're just going to do it again. We're going to insert a page number. Top of page, we'll make it to the left. I'm going to come down here and copy this part, stick it up here. Okay, so my page number and my header are on the same line, and I'm gonna just make sure that I have a full justification there. Okay, full justification. Click out of that. Now I'll go down to page 2 here, and I'm just gonna get rid of this running head because that's how page 2 and following are. Okay. Now the last page you're going to have is I'm going to hit Control Enter again, make another hard page, and for some reason now my justification isn't keeping up. Well, for some reason here my margins are too wide. I wonder why. Well, that margin is correct. See, this margin's wrong, and I'll just do this. Yeah, that's the problem. Okay. Okay, it's because I took out that spacing, and now the spacing is correct. Okay. Now on page 3, or whatever page we're going to enter here, I'm going to go to center justification and then type references. And in the new APA style, it changes all the time. Now this is going to be bolded. And you're going to enter down here and then take off this justification and bolding and start your references. Okay, so what we have is a front page with its own header. We have a new header on page 2. That header continues, and then we're going to end up with the references section on its own page. And now you have the basic structure of a paper, okay, with this bolded header centered. And then you're going to start your text here, and if you get wild like me, see, now we'll just go down and hit Control Enter. Okay, we're fine. Okay, try it again. Okay, now I'm going to start typing. You're going to type, get out of bold, type your sentences to make paragraphs, okay? And so you're just going to have sentences, and I'll just copy and paste these. 2 spaces after a period, always 2 spaces, and okay, 1, 2. Now let's just copy that. Okay, now we have a paragraph, and now we're going to just copy the whole paragraph, make a new paragraph, okay, make a new paragraph, make a new paragraph, make a new paragraph, so forth, okay? Okay, now these paragraphs should be indented, okay? And so you don't have a space between the paragraphs. Your paragraphs are indented. You can use Word to set what your indentation is. And then the most common problem we're having here, first of all, is people are just somehow their typing class didn't instruct them that, you know, professional style is always to have 2 spaces after a period. But it certainly is APA style, and the only exception to that would be your references, in which there's never more than 1 space consecutively. Okay, so we have some paragraphs here. What are some common problems that happen? Well, let's just change the formatting here. See, I always keep my formatting like this, but some people, it defaults to having a 10 point before, okay, and then what happens is that you get this extra line after a paragraph. And so what you have to do is, you know, just grab all of your paragraphs and then set the formatting 0, 0, double, okay? And so it's just something you have to learn, is that you can make your text look any way you want to, okay? You can make it look any way you want to, and the consequence of that is that you're responsible for how it looks, okay? So let's do our references section, and then you know, it's just a standard stuff that you look in the APA manual. Okay, Okay, we'll come back here and put an ampersand. Okay, so that's our author information. It's the last name, first two initials, space between the initials, next author, comma, ampersand, last author, and then we're going to have a date in here. And now we're going to have the title of the article. And we'll just do it like this. Okay, now we're going to have the title of the journal, and then a volume number, which they put in XX, and then they put in this. Okay, and that's confusing because some students now think you're supposed to have the page numbers. You're not. Okay, so let's say it's journal volume number 45, and then pages 123 to 146. Okay, so this is the basic capitalization structure, and then we're going to italicize the name of the journal. Okay, the volume number, and we just notice that we have one period between one space between elements. Okay, not two. So it's not like text. This is called sentence capitalization, and this is probably like formal capitalization, but you know, we don't capitalize every word. Okay, and let's just do this here: the title of the article, colon, the subtitle. Okay, it's always like this. The first word after a colon is capitalized. Okay, so the next thing we have is we just want to indent that correctly, and what I did is I went up here and made a hard enter, okay, by hitting enter, and then I tab over. Okay, so let's do that again. This is what it looks like. If you just come over here and tab, then it does this thing. It throws the whole thing over. It's very frustrating. What I learned to do is you just go up here and enter, now tab, and it's going to go over. Now let's do a book. Okay, so we'll have author A 1999, the title of the book. Okay, and then we'll have a location, and then a publisher. Okay, those are the elements of a book, and we're going to go in and now italicize that. So these are the main problems that occur in a paper. The running head is wrong, the page numbers are wrong. Another problem that commonly occurs is that people are using the wrong font. The correct font for APA style is Times New Roman 12. It's not Calibri. It's not Times New Roman 11 or 10. And a very common problem is that people put a different font for the header than the text. Okay, so your paper begins on line 1. Some of you are repeating the information on page 1 down here, but don't do that. That's redundant. So, so there's your paper. Here's your references. Now, what some of you are doing is you are putting your references down here, but you're never identifying what information you're citing. Why are you putting these references down here? If you're reading an article, then we should see up here what information you got from the article. So I say things like inform your post or inform your papers with outside reading materials. Well, up here, I read, or don't use I in your paper, but, Smith and Wesson stated, 2013, that guns were perfectly safe, okay? Now, do you need a page number here? No. You don't need a page number. You didn't quote anything, and I don't allow you to quote. So there's never any confusion about this. Okay, now if you have Smith and Wesson here, what are we going to see down here? We're going to see, Smith, QX, and, Wesson, OP, 2013, name of article, title of journal, volume number, page number. Okay, that's what we're going to see down here. So we go down. What you're doing in the article is you're informing the reader where you got the idea, but you're not putting the whole reference in there. And we never say things like, Bob Smith and Tyrone Wesson, You know, we don't put first names up here. We use this form, Smith & Wesson, 2013. And actually, in text, we would put Smith & Wesson. Or, you know, you could put guns are perfectly safe, Smith and Wesson. So in a parentheses, you would put that. Now, I don't own a gun, so I'm not a gun advocate, but I'm just trying to show you how you would, you know, inform your paper, and then how do you demonstrate where you got that information. Here's an assertion. You don't have the authority to make an assertion, okay? You don't make assertions. What you do is you identify assertions that others have made, then you cite them and inform your paper with them, okay? All right, let's see. Anything else that I'm missing? Oh, I was just going to show you. I don't want to see this DOI stuff, okay? Now, what I always used to do was, you know, when I make lectures like these, is just open up an APA style journal article and show you that they don't put that in the journal. Now they do. You know, I sent them this paper. I didn't put that DOI information in there. Some editor at APA put that in there. So here's what I'm telling you. Don't put it in your papers. I'm not interested in it. If you have a web source, then of course you have to. There's a style in APA that shows you how to cite a web source. But I mean, I don't want to see a web source for Psychology Today. That's not a professional source. Psychology Today is not a professional source. That's just a magazine. You know, let's go to peer-reviewed articles or published books, you know, reputable books. That's it. And then you might find a very good website, you know, like APA's website. If you want to tell what their policy is, that would make sense. Okay, hopefully this lecture is more accessible than the other ones have been.